Welcome to the He's Got Issues Independent Comics Edition number 113.3. I'm John Cooney here to preview new independent comics being released March 26th, 2014, beginning alphabetically with Boom Studios and Bravest Warriors number 18. The Bravest Warriors face some of the scariest creatures in the universe, but nothing will ever be as scary as facing feelings. The Warriors must look inside themselves to defeat their own insecurities. It's the only way for them to become true warriors and true friends. Next, we have Hacktivist number 3 of 4. Having successfully escaped to Tunisia, Ed finally meets Serene face to face, and neither is what the other expected. While Ed is forced to come out from behind his computer screen and deal with the real-life consequences of his hacking, Nate feels the walls starting to close in on him back at Your Life. When the stakes are raised to life and death, will the two best friends be torn apart for good? We've also got Midas Flesh number 4 of 8. Oh no, the Federation is here to take away the secret weapon that our crew has worked so hard to acquire, but can they get a hold of it without someone suffering the fate of the Midas touch? And we've got regular show number 11. It's a fun time for our unlikely heroes as they prepare for their next day off, only this time they might find themselves doing more work than they ever planned. Join Mordecai and Rigby as they try to figure out what to do so they can finally get a day of peace and end up somewhere totally rad. From Dark Horse Comics, we've got B.P.R.D. Hell on Earth number 1 for $1 edition. B.P.R.D. Hell on Earth follows the B.P.R.D. now operating under the UN oversight as they face new horrors. People are once again vanishing from small towns, monsters are roaming in the woods, and a strange new creature arrives to create hell on Earth. Next, we have Blackout number 1 of 4. Scott Travers' special suit lets him move through the world unseen and untouchable within a shadowy parallel dimension, but he doesn't know how the suit works or where it came from. With his benefactor missing and unfriendlies after his Blackout gear, Scott must find answers before the answers find him. We've also got Bloodhound Crowbar Medicine number 5 of 5. Crowbar Medicine reaches its gut-wrenching climax. Cut off from backup, Clev, Saffron, and uneasy ally Terminus confront the scientists behind the ability-granting power chip. Still shaken by personal tragedy and going up against a trio of power chip users at Dr. Morgenstern's side, Clev is about to take on the most vicious fight of his life. Dan Jolie and Leonard Kirk take superhero action to the next level. Next, we've got Captain Midnight number 9. Eager to learn the mysterious fate of his former sidekick, Captain Midnight storms War Industrial Fury Shark's London stronghold. He's a man on a mission to confront his arch nemesis, but will Midnight be able to handle the truth about his old buddy Chuck Ramsey? We've also got Elfquest, the final quest number 2. Fate brings battle unasked for and heartbreak unforeseen. Chiefess Ember's Wolf Riders try to save a human town only to lose their own mountain home, and Ember and Tyr's dearest wish comes true at the worst possible moment with agonizing and far-reaching consequences. Next, we have Empowered Special number 6, Internal Medicine. At the Purple Paladin Memorial Hospital's terrifying superhuman treatment wing, Dr. Big McLarge Huge recruits costume crime fighter Empowered and her best friend in Jet to save a 5-mile-wide alien mothership's parasite-infested baby ship, if that is, our heroines can even survive the elevator ride up to the operating room. We've also got Furious number 3 of 5. Candace Lark's past is riddled with fiery ruin and personal train wrecks, and she's desperate to prove her worth, if only to herself. As Furious, she must tame her own fears, while ensuring the creeps of the world know justice. When she's signaled to help a rooftop fire, she heeds the call. Next up, we have Halo Escalation number 4. The UNSC Infinity is ambushed by an unexpected enemy while on a mission to rescue a damaged civilian freighter. Across the galaxy, an undercover Lasky enlists to help an old friend in rooting out spies inside the UNSC. We've also got King Conan the Conqueror number 2 of 6. Conan finds himself chained on a galley ship manned by some of the black corsairs he once sailed with in his youth. If he's to reach Dejah and recover the magical jewel he needs to regain his throne, he'll have to lead a slave uprising and reclaim his old title, Amra the Lion. Next, we have Mass Effect Foundation number 9. The elusive man's agents redouble their efforts to resurrect Shepard, and in doing so are led to the very model of a scientist, Solarian, Mordin Solus. We've also got the massive number 21. In the cathedral in Prague, Cal prepares for a final showdown with his nemesis Arcady, but what will fell him first? His cancer, the bullet from the Russian Sig Sauer, or the realization that nothing of the past decade was what it seemed? The conclusion of Block, the most groundbreaking arc of the Massive to date, takes us into the final year of the series with a stunning reveal. Next, we have Mind Management number 20. If you thought Mind Management was wild today, wait until you meet the agents of the swinging 70s. We've also got Pariah number 2 of 8. On Earth, a hacker causes an economic meltdown in what seems to be a rescue plan to save the Vitros, who are trapped in space on a falling satellite. Next, we have Serenity leaves on the wind number 3 of 6. Serenity is found. The crew, including Jane and a certain bounty hunter, get themselves ready to restock and retrieve when River wakes from her self-induced sleep and gives Mel a mandate, which will eventually, hopefully, maybe lead to Zoe's rescue. We've also got Star Wars Legacy 2 number 13. After a crash landing on a wild planet with her captor and former flame Ramid, Anya Solo is having trouble shaking the other bounty hunter on her tail. She's going to need some help from someone, but when you're accused of murdering an Imperial Knight, friends are hard to come by. Next we have Tomb Raider number 2. Lara Croft and her friends are experiencing horrific visions in the aftermath of their ordeal in the lost kingdom of Yamatai, but those visions herald a darker fate than they could have imagined. And we've got Vandroid number 2 of 5. Vandroid ramps up this no-holds-barred second issue. The Van Man is off the chain, but when he runs afoul of his creator's loose ends, including his estranged wife and an old criminal acquaintance, he finds out that being human is more complicated than his programming indicated. From Dynamite Entertainment, we've got Ash in the Army of Darkness Annual 2014. Stranded in the 1300s, Ash William leads a war against evil as he searches for a way home to the present day. Ash's search is complicated when his soul is stolen by 3 witches, and the only way to get him to go home is to follow them from the time period to time period and recover the parts of his missing soul. Ash must once again rise up against the forces of evil and their army of darkness if he's to have any hope of ever returning to the modern world he left behind. Next we have Dejah Thoris and the Green Men of Mars number 12 of 12. Final issue, the finale of the offbeat hit miniseries. Looks like the only success Dejah Thoris will have on a suicide mission with her Thark commandos is the suicide. They have no way to stop the crazed nihilistic warhoons they've infiltrated from activating the gigantic ancient gun unearthed in the desert, and it's aimed at helium, for starters. We've also got Doc Savage number 4. When an experimental drilling technique threatens to set the world's largest oil fields ablaze in 1977, Doc Savage is the only one who can prevent an environmental catastrophe and the worldwide economic crisis which would surely follow. But to succeed, he will first have to help a young woman regain her faith in the future. Next we have George R.R. Martin's A Game of Thrones number 19, the critically acclaimed adaptation of George R.R. Martin's sweeping epic. Tyrion, under escort by a savage clan of warriors and in a precarious position of being both their leader and their hostage, reunites with his father. Soon after, Tywin vows to uphold Tyrion's promises to the clans, providing they fight for him against the army of Robb Stark. We've also got Legends of Red Sonja number 5 of 5. Final issue. The epic miniseries featuring all-star creators concludes. This book, celebrating the She-Devil's 40th anniversary, goes out with a bang, including stories written by Gail, Batgirl Simone, Blair, Attack of the Show, Butler, Kelly Sue, Pretty Deadly Draconic, with gorgeous art by Jack Jadson, Valentine, and Jim, Secret Six, Califori. Sonja makes her final showdown against the brutal and deadly Grey Riders. Next, we have My Little Phoney, a Brony adventure number 1 one-shot. Welcome to the world of Horsey, middle-aged men who share an unusual devotion to My Little Phoney. Though the line of sparkly and adorable horses was made for young girls, nothing stops the Horsehees from adopting this lifestyle. When the dispute ignites over which clan of Horsehees are truest to the Horsey creator's original vision, the game of one-upmanship gets bizarre and apocalyptic. Now the Horsehees must travel to barren wasteland to discover who the truest Horsey is. And we've got Warlord of Mars, Dejah Thoris number 37. Dejah meets a new race on Mars, getting more than she bargained for as she is confronted with an old foe. Meanwhile, her niece continues her dangerous game of deception as she plots to destroy the royal family of Helium. From IDW Publishing, we've got G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero number 200. This is it, the landmark 200th issue in this long-running series. G.I. Joe returns to the pit, but things are not as they expect at their home base. Hawk and Duke prepare to take the team into a new era, as Cobra's plans and new threats require a fresh approach. Join the adventure in G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero number 200, and prepare for the next 200. Next we have Ghostbusters number 14. The embodiment of chaos has taken an interest in Earth, and the physical laws of the universe are beginning to come apart at the seams. When Newtonian physics falter in New York City and weirdness is on the rise, you know who's gonna get called. Mass hysteria continues here. We've also got Godzilla Rulers of Earth number 10. With many monsters now inhabiting a new home, peace seemingly descends on Earth. Little does humanity realize the greatest danger now lurks under the waves. Lucy and the Kaiju Watchers will have to act fast to determine the nature of the new threat. Next, we have Rocky and Bullwinkle, number 1 of 4. They're finally here. Welcome Bullwinkle the Moose and Rocket J. Squirrel back to comics in this very special first issue by fan favorite Mark Evanier and Roger Langridge. Rocky and Bullwinkle must stop the evil Boris and Natasha from duping a wealthy philanthropist into psychic sidekick, and when Dudley Do-Right tries to woo the beautiful Nell, will Snidely Whiplash get away? We've also got Star Slammers Remastered number 1. Walter Simonson can honestly be described as a living legend. Besides co-creating Manhunter with the great Archie Goodwin in the early days of his career, Simonson had written and drawn nearly all of Marvel and DC characters at one time or another. Highlights include the Fantastic Four, Batman, Orion, Elric, and his groundbreaking run on the Mighty Thor. But before all these, there was Star Slammers, a series first devised by Simonson during his college days. The Slammers would later be resurrected as a Marvel graphic novel and then a miniseries. Simonson described it thus: once upon a time, there was a race of men who could outshoot, outfight, and outkill anybody. They were paid fabulous sums to act as mercenaries. The practice became so lucrative they decided to go into business. They became the most successful businessmen in history, and they called themselves the Star Slammers. Next, we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles New Animated Adventures number 9. This issue features 2 terrific turtle tales. In the first, the robot Metalhead starts to act very strangely. When the turtles try to fix him, an argument between Raph and Don could cause the entire day to go haywire. The second story details the astounding origin of Raph's new black eye. We've also got Transformers Dark Cybertron Finale number 1, Dark Cybertron Part 12 of 12. It gets even bigger. Okay, we lied when we were talking about last issue, but this issue is as big as they come. It's all come down to this moment. Every scheme, every lie, every moment of heroism, every relationship, every rivalry. If Cybertron falls, so falls the universe. Next we have Wraith, Welcome to Christmas Land number 5 of 7. Chapter 5, The Rules of the Game. The hunt has begun. Christmas Land's prisoners are falling one by one, slaughtered among the park's dark amusements. The only way out is vanished, darkness is coming, and Charlie Manx's children are everywhere. Chus Llewellyn and Agnes Claiborne have one hope: to figure out the rules of this new, impossible landscape and find a loophole that will allow them to fly away. And we have X-Files Conspiracy number 2 of 2. The event of the year concludes here. The lone gunmen have finished investigating several urban legends. A group of ghost hunters, mutant turtles that live in the sewers, shape-changing alien robots, and a vengeful spirit from beyond the grave, after receiving internet files from future that foretell a plague that wipes out most of humanity. Now it's a race against the clock as the gunmen, with agents Mulder and Scully, attempt to save the world. From Image Comics, we've got Alex plus Ada number 5. Ada will never be the same again. Next, we have The Bounce number 11. So much stuff crammed into this issue, you won't believe it. You've had questions, we've got answers. The Darling is ready to show his hand, and the Bounce is ready to break on through to the other side. Try to run, try to hide, but whatever you do, don't miss it. We've also got Dead Body Road number 4. Gage has taken one of his wife's murderers captive in the back of his van. In pursuit is a fleet of bikers and other murderous bastards. Are you ready for an interrogation at 100 miles per hour? Next, we have Deadly Class number 3. Tasked with their first assassination mission, Marcus and Willie roam the sad and lonely streets of San Francisco in the dead of night, stalked by a shadow from Marcus's mysterious past. We've also got Fatale number 21, part 2 of the most intense arc of Fatale so far. Nicholas, Lash, and Josephine finally meet again as everything we know about Fatale gets flipped on its side when the hunted becomes the hunter. And don't forget all the back page extras and articles you can only find in Fatale's single issue every month. Next, we have Jan's Atomic Heart and Other Stories graphic novel. From the mind of Simon Roy, co-writer and artist of the Eisner Award-nominated series Prophet, comes a collection of tales that span time, space, and species. We've also got Krampus number 4, The Traitor Stands Revealed. With his identity exposed, the mole within the secret society of Santa Clauses launches his master plan. Only the Krampus stands ready to oppose him, but an offer of freedom from the Santa's reign may trigger the start of a sinister partnership. Next, we have Manhattan Projects number 19, Strategic Assassination. Simultaneous actions on 3 different worlds result in the most jaw-dropping issue of the Manhattan Projects to date. We've also got One Hit Wonder number 2, I Kill, Therefore I Am. After the explosive debut of actor-turned-hitman Richie Reese, it's time for the prequel, Episode 1, The Childhood Menace. It's the birth of a killer on an epic scale. Next, we have Protectors, Inc. number 5. In every good mystery, there's a moment when the detective confronts the suspects to try to figure out which of them is the killer. But generally speaking, the suspects aren't powerful enough to fly you to 5 miles straight up, rip off your limbs, and drop you into the Atlantic. That's the problem faced by Lieutenant Detective John Riley when he finally comes face to face with the Protectors, one of whom may have murdered the Huntsman. Meanwhile, an autopsy on a woman presumed to have died on a boating accident reveals a grisly connection to the Protectors. We've also got Real Heroes number 1. They are the 6 most famous actors in the world, and together they play the Olympians, the biggest superhero movie franchise in history. Would you ask them to save the world? They may be our only hope. Next, we have Revenge number 2. Griffin Frank is pissed. A doctor outside of Mexico has removed his face and fingerprints and grafted them onto the young lover of his porn star wife. Mad with pain, Griffin begins to believe he's the Revenger, and someone's going to pay. We've also got Satellite Sam number 7, Sex, Death, Live TV. As the show's writer finds himself ensnared in a blackmail scheme, the girl behind the scenes stumbles onto the late Carlisle White's biggest secret of all, which can't help his son Michael from descending even further into the world of cheap sex and celebrity. By Matt Fraction of Sex Criminals and Hawkeye, and Howard Chaykin of Black Kiss and Century West. Next, we have Sex number 12. Life in Saturn City is about to get even more complicated. Who are the good guys? Who are the bad guys? And who's getting laid? The answers will shock and awe as the first year of Sex comes to a climax. We've also got Skull Kickers number 25. A Dozen Cousins and a Crumpled Crown, Part 1. Weep no more, Skull Kickers is back with another head-crushing story arc to fill the fantasy fun-sized void in your life. The dwarf has been forcibly returned to his homeland, and the deranged diminutive denizens of Dewar make sure it's a homecoming like no other. We've also got Umbral number 5, The Myth of History. Did you really think we could get through 5 issues without doing a bit of now harking ye to these old legends? Then you haven't been paying attention. There are clues in here, important ones, and gods fighting with swords too, if you like that sort of thing. Some do. And we have Walking Dead number 124, All Out War Part 10. This war has begun to take a toll on us all. From Valiant Entertainment, we have Eternal Warrior number 7, Long Live the Eternal Emperor. In the year 4001, King Gilad Anipada hoped to leave his days as the Eternal Emperor behind him. But when an unforeseen challenger emerges from Gilad's past, the king must put down his crown and pick up his sword. What strange journey has taken Gilad across the alien landscape of 4001 AD, and what terror wrought in the modern day has led him to this terrible turning point? Okay, so that's a look at some of the top independent publishers this week, but there's still plenty of other books out as well, so be sure to check out my YouTube channel at he'sgotissues.com to see both the Marvel and DC videos for this week, as well as my usual roundup of all my favorites for the week with a little more depth and insight than you get here. And if you like these videos, be sure to let me know by leaving a comment and subscribing. You can also follow He's Got Issues on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and Tumblr to see everything I'm reading as I read it. So until next week, I'm John Cooney, and I've got issues.